This production is sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. So good evening and welcome to the last regular round of the Super League season 2025. We've got members number one and members number two in the house for this one. Good evening, Steph. Good evening, Greg.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me on, Dave. Like the fact we had a picture of Leroy on the holding screen as well.
Well, there you go. You see, sentimental. That's what it is. Sentimental. Hopefully, like I say, the Leopards sort that out tomorrow night. I'm sure they will. Of course, the Captain's Run, sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. As always, if you want to get a great deal, get moving your house, then you know who to call. Get onto the phone. You know, it makes sense. Right, okay. Of course, you can become a member here at Super League Raw as well. There is the QR code. Hopefully, you're going to settle in for the rest of the evening with us as we take you, certainly for the next hour or so, as close to kick-off as possible tonight. And Jill is already in the chat all the way from Canada, and she's delighted to see the roach, which is outstanding. She also likes perch, bream, and trout. But that's another story. That is another story. Right, let's get into what's about to happen here this evening as I go behind the Good Estate Agent. What is all that about? Good Lord. Right, okay. For those of you who don't know, you don't need to see me. I'm here. Hello. Round 27. So just to clarify what's going to be going on. If KR win or draw, they lift the League Leaders Shield this evening. If they lose, they will have to wait until the conclusion of the Wigan Leeds game tomorrow. And of course, there's 41 points between the two sides. If Wakefield win, they're in the playoffs, regardless of whatever Hull FC do. If Hull FC win and Wakey lose, it will be FC who play in the playoffs. Leeds can secure third place with a victory over Huddersfield, and Leeds can secure third place if they win and Leigh lose. Is that as clear as glass, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Everybody's happy with that. We can move on. Good evening to Heather Bailey, Adam Reeves, Rebecca Frey, who is also in the chat. Right, these are the games, of course, tonight. History maybe is about to be made at Hull KR as Warrington come to town. We'll be, of course, reviewing that in a few moments' time. Hull FC, they go up against Catalan Dragons tonight as well. Tomorrow, 4 games. Saints against Cass, Leigh against the Giants, Salford, their final game in Super League for the time being, go up against Wakefield Trinity, and Wigan Warriors take on the Leeds Rhinos. That, of course, confirms the league table. That's how it looks. I've already gone through all the connotations of that. Before we get into it, 26 rounds in the bag, Greg. Sum up Super League 2025. How have you found it thus far?
Oh, I think it's been tremendous. If I understood your first slide correctly, which is might be a bit of a long shot, but I think we get to round 27 with only Saints knowing actually where they're finishing. I think all the other teams could finish in different places depending on the other results. Steph's nodding, so I'll take that. But whilst I know it's going to take some upsets for people to move places, but I think there's only Saints actually know.
Mathematically.
I think KR and Wigan are looking pretty chipper 1 and 2.
But they could become 2 and 1. Depending. All I'm saying is we're in the round, and there's only one team knows where they sit in the playoffs. So that's a good season. That's a good season. And I think it's good to see youth coming through. It's good to see we've had some upsets. A couple last week. So. It might not just be. There are some very strong favourites this year, and I did have a quick look at the odds for who's winning the grand final, and the bookies have got Wigan slightly ahead of Hull KR, which I think reflects probably what's happened. Yeah, great season, loved it. Love being part of the Super League community as well. Super League.
Good man. I mean, Steph, I think once we get into next week, we've got some incredible games on the horizon. As we go through tonight, there's not an awful lot there, really, for me personally. You wouldn't expect. Then again, it is a year where we have had the odd upset, but I think we pretty much know where it's going at this moment. But I think the 26 rounds we've had, hasn't it been wonderful to see jeopardy be around for most weeks? We've had surprise results most weeks, Steph.
We have, and you can even go to our friends at Salford. I think there's been, even in that horrendous story, there's been some brilliant positives in terms of the supporters, things what they're doing, and they've had some results as well. So fair play to them. Huddersfield, obviously they've had an awful season in terms of injuries, but have never give up, and they've had some great wins for Greg and that fan base as well. And then when you look at the top six, what a wonderful story Wakefield is, emulating what my team did in 2023. There's stories all over this year, and hopefully next year is going to be even better as well as we expand to hopefully 14 teams. But we've still got some good games ahead of us this year, so let's not ourselves with next season. But no, it's going to be exciting, and some massive fixtures in the playoffs as well. So lots to strap in and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, the captain's run will, of course, continue throughout the playoff series. Don't worry about that. Of course, there won't be a captain's run before the grand final. We'll probably have a more special one for that. But certainly throughout the playoff series, we will have the captain's run. Right, let's get into tonight's first game, of course. And it is, of course, the Warrington Wolves travelling to Hull KR, who we are all expecting KR to be crowned as the Super League Leaders' Shield winners, gentlemen. Start with you, Greg. Fully deserved if they lift the shield this evening at Craven Park.
Oh, absolutely. I think particularly the first 2/3 of the season, I think they played some of the nicest looking rugby. I think probably them and Wakey have probably been my favourite teams with ball in hand in terms of attacking rugby. I think probably most Hull KR fans, I'm sure most Hull KR fans sort of probably wish it had been done and dusted a couple of weeks ago. And you can understand why they're nervous. I mean, they'll be very strong favourites tonight, and I don't think anyone will really see an upset there. But as rugby league fans, we tend to be a little bit, thinking the worst can happen. So I think when it does happen tonight, I think there'll be a sigh of relief, along with a leap of joy. But yeah, absolutely deserve it. And I hope I actually sort of have a soft spot and hope they go on to win it, and they don't do like the Giants did and Castleford did, where they end up being league shield winners, but then don't go on and win the big one, because it'd be nice to have a new name on it, and the opportunities don't come around very often. But yeah, absolutely deserve to be up there, Dave.
Well, we know KR probably, this squad is not going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to be competitive, certainly for the next two seasons, I would say, minimum, depending on how the comings and goings and salary cap goes. Steph, are you surprised they made as hard work of it as they have in terms of lifting the shield in the last stages?
Yeah, they've had I think every team every team in the top 6 have had the blips, haven't they? And I think it's just about timing. They'll look to put that one right tonight and get a bit of form going into the playoffs. But obviously they've got another week off after this one, so they've not really got that momentum going. So, but no, I think every team's had a little blip, but Hull KR have got the quality, and I think it's really refreshing, and one that maybe clubs like Salford can look at in terms of if they do go down into the Championship. Hull KR have shown everybody, what can be done. It's incredible what that club's achieved over the past few years from where they were, and now to be one of the, if not the strongest team in the competition is a great story, isn't it? I think that's the thing. It's outside of the the big four clubs who always win things. So it's great that we should be crowning a new league leaders that we've not had for a while tonight. So I will be raising a glass to them tonight.
Absolutely. I've got a couple of Jabels in the fridge and they're chilling as we speak, sir, is what I would say. And Matt Timms, he's doing a Greg Roach. Well done, Matt. Give him a bit back, son. Good evening, gentlemen, and good evening to you too, Greg. Outstanding. Well done, Timsy boy. I have enough of that every week. Outstanding stuff. Right. Look, I mean, bottom line is Warrington have had a better Super League history, 23 wins to 15. Well, that's been a draw between these two as well. But KR in great form against Warrington. They've won 4 of the last 5 against the Wire, including, of course, that big one at Wembley. 758 points placed, 460. Warrington's defence, 613. We're going to get to the squad in a minute. Look, we're not going to get too bogged down with this one because, like I say, when we get to the squads, it really does tell a bit of a story. Get rid of that at the bottom. Right, let's take a look at the 2 squads. Does that work? Oh, that works. You can stay. Not seen Bet Stef. I always say this. I don't look at it. I just basically upload the graphic. I try my best not to look. But if Steph was into the details, he may be. I don't know. We'll wait until we get there. Tom Davies has scored a try in the last 4 games against the Wire. Last 4 games, Tom Davies. Hey, so I tell you, as sure as eggs is eggs, Davies is a good bet for this evening against the Wire. Oliver Gildart, if he gets another berth tonight, it'd be 200 for his career. For Ollie will make his 200th appearance. That'd be quite sweet, Greg, wouldn't it? 200th appearance and lift the league leaders' shield for the Robins.
What an evening, and well deserved for great player, great servant to the club.
Absolutely. When you look at the 2 sides here on paper, Steph, it's almost unthinkable that KR don't win this tonight. But in sport, you can never take anything for granted. But if they don't win this, what would that say for them heading into the playoffs? Because I think of all the results that they've had recently, if they were to lose, and I don't think they will, but if they were to lose tonight, would that make the Robins fans a little bit nervous going into the playoffs? Because this would be the worst loss to date, wouldn't it, to lose against that Warrington team?
Yeah, given the youngsters that Warrington have got in that squad, I like yourself, I can't see it, Dave, if I'm being honest. But we all saw what the young lads for Warrington did against Wigan before the cup final. So there is always that chance in sport. You never know; there could be a card. Things can, anything can happen in rugby league. Who would have thought Wakefield would have done what they did to KR last week? And I know that's a bit different because Wakefield had pretty much their full squad out and have been a great side this year. But even so, that was a surprise. This would be. It wouldn't be a surprise. It'd be miles bigger than a surprise if KR lost this. But they need to come out and play, and I'm sure those young lads who do get the nod tonight will go out with pride and wanting to put a few wrongs right for Sam Burgess' side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave, anyone we should be watching there? I don't recognise some of those names.
Yeah, so obviously you've seen a bit of James Duffy, young kid, plays centre. He's a good, talented lad, James. He's down the pecking order. I mean, if the likes of Lindop, Zach Gardner had been fit, they'd have been in tonight. But James, a talented lad. He's done really, really well this year at academy level. So he's one to watch. Ewan Irwin, everybody at Warrington very excited over Ewan Irwin. Young lad playing some exceptional rugby league in the reserves this season, and he's going to be playing. He'll be playing standoff tonight. He's a halfback. Wow. Outstanding talent, really, really good. One of the key reasons why Warrington have done so well at both academy and reserve level this year is Ewan Irwin. He's had a really strong season. Like I say, there's certain players that are head and shoulders at that level, and Ewan is getting to that point now where actually when he's on the field at that level, he does look a cut above, and he's only young, which is to his credit. So like I say, he's somebody to really watch. Tom McKinney, good player. He's a solid front rower. Whether they utilise him as a front rower tonight or not quite sure. But Tom, massive future in the game. He has been huge for Warrington down the middle at reserve level this season. Real powerful unit at that level. Probably got to put a bit of bulk on and get a bit of experience at Super League level. But these type of games are what give you that. So it's a big opportunity for him. Everybody knows Kai. I'd expect Kai to start tonight. I can't see Duffy playing. I think Lachlan Webster won't. Lachlan's another fullback on the conveyor belt of Warrington Wolves fullbacks. As I see, Steph, he's trying to get Heritage number 1 on there. He's not being outdone by you, Mr. Roach. He's not being outdone by you. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think as Warrington fans, that's the only reason why you're probably tuning into this tonight is to see those kids and how they actually play. And like I say, I think that what they will certainly do tonight is earn the respect of the KR players, because they will do their utmost tonight, and I think that they will show that there's a lot of promise in them. So, for me personally, I wish them all the very best. I'm gutted that a lot of them would have been playing Saturday in the reserves final. Leeds really now should counter the reserves final, which is such a shame, really, that's going to probably not be as competitive as it would be. But hey, there you go. Such is injuries and such is the way it is. But it's going to be a very, very interesting game. Like I say, Ewan Irwin, very exciting talent. So if I'm a neutral tonight, that name, go into the game considering Ewan and watching play his trade. He's a very, very exciting player. Really exciting. Hopefully that answers your question.
That does now, and it's part of what we like about the game. Seeing people, come back. Just this might be, I might have missed this, but Sue is in the KR squad.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, Sue's back. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, they're due out any minute. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on that in terms of the team sheets because both these and, of course, FC and Catalan, they will drop on social media any minute. I'm just keeping my eye on that as we're discussing it. But I would expect some surprises, Stef, wouldn't you, in terms of the KR starting lineup? I mean, I think based on Warrington, and I mean, it's crystal clear from a Willie Peters perspective that, Warrington come into this with a lot of youth. So on that basis, it does give him the option of maybe putting Noah Booth back in. We know that there's no Burgess, so he's probably going to play on the wing. Might give Leyland more minutes tonight.
Yeah, I expect Litton still to play, but I think they may spell him a bit more than they would do normally, and give Leyland a go there. I think Doro will probably play more minutes than he would normally as well. I think you're absolutely right. Booth will come in, and I've been really impressed with Booth when he has come into this side. He's been really solid. So, but looking at that squad there's not really much they can do in terms of they've not got any really young academy players on there, anything like that. They're all ones that have had first team experience this year. So it will predominantly be, I think, KR's strongest team.
I think the likes of Brown might get a game. I think Brown, Doro, Leyland. Like I agree. There's not an awful lot he can do, but I think those periphery plays like Gildart. I mean, he'll start for me and he'll play the full game. I think Leyland will get more minutes. Jez will be there. I think he might start with Jez. But it gives him the opportunity of maybe resting Lewis for a half, Jez for a half, maybe, depending on how things are going. So there's a few things he can do in there. But yeah, I mean, really, you look at those two teams that not just on paper, but the telepathy, the way they've been playing this season, both sides. Bottom line is, for me, it should be a cakewalk, shouldn't it? Greg?
Should be, shouldn't it? Yeah, I can't see anything other than 18 plus for OKR.
Right. Okie dokie. I'm going to actually bring up the Warrington squad because that's in. So let me just change that graphic whilst we're live. Here we go. Just a little bit of behind the scenes work for you. Right, here it comes. Here's Warrington. Warrington's in. And as I said, Kai Taylor-Ray is in there. Oh, actually, Matt Duffy is in. He's in centre.
Right.
Wow, that has absolutely astonished me. That has astonished me. That I have not seen coming. So that is a real surprise. The only thing I can think of there is that they've decided to allow Duffy to play the reserve game, which is great for young Duffy. But unless that should read James Duffy, those type of mistakes can happen. I don't think they will have happened. So that's interesting. So James, I'm pleased for James. He deserves to play the reserve game. So fair play to him. Ewan Irwin's in. Like I say, he's the one to watch. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ewan play tonight, I have to say. Philbin and Thomas front row, Walker, Stone, Holroyd in second row. Of course, no Fitzgibbon. He's that's him done, isn't it? Ryan Mattison. And then on the bench, Powell Green, Tom McKinney, Max Wood, Benny Hartill misses out again, which is a real shame. But again, it allows Ben to play the reserve game. So yeah, Matt Duffy, Seth in centre.
Yeah, that is a shock, isn't it? But I don't think anyone had that. And KR's is out as well. I don't know if you want to be pulling that one.
I will be. Carry on, mate. You carry on.
Well, yeah, no, good to see Tom McKinney on the bench. I'm looking forward to seeing him tonight for Warrington and see how he goes on, as well as Lucas Green and Max Wood, obviously. So it's a very young, inexperienced bench for Warrington with Sam Powell there as well. So, and Ewan Irwin at standoff there. That's going to be, as we just talked about, really, really good for Wyatt to see what they've got in that player and how he goes up against the best in Super League. So,
And he's
yeah,
playing with Mark Sneed as well, isn't he? That's going to be a hell
yeah,
of a learning
yeah.
opportunity
But
for him.
looking at KR's centres, I know we're going to pull them up in a minute, but I'm really interested to see how Matt Duffy goes in the centre with
Yeah.
the KR players that are playing there. It's going to be. I wonder if he's going to get against Hiku, not to give away KR's squad.
Liku normally plays right. Toby King, saying that Toby can play left or right, so I think that's going to be interesting to see how they line up. What I would say before we take this particular graphic off over Ewan, just so I don't forget, Ewan Irwin has got a really good complete game. He's got a running game. He's got a kicking game. Like I say, I just hope tonight that Ewan goes out and expresses himself, and if he does, people will see why so many at Warrington are really excited about Ewan Irwin. Right, in terms of this, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, King has been playing predominantly on the left, which would, of course, put him up against Hicker, and Gildart will go up against Dufty. But I think Matt Dufty would probably prefer to play on the left based on his running pathways that he normally plays. So I'd be interested to see on which side of the centres Dufty plays tonight. He might go left. It'd be interesting to see that. But yeah, apart from that, as you rightly said, what surprises me, Greg, looking at that, is I was just saying the likes of Green, the likes of Doro. What that says to me is Willie Peters is taking no chances whatsoever at all. He wants to get it done tonight, and he wants to have the fitting finish to the 27 round. He wants to lift the shield to a full Craven Park tonight, and that team says so.
Yeah, well, I think this is professional sport, isn't it? And I know, having talked to some of the Giants players before, players want to play. They don't want to be rested. They do want to play. And I would think, as well as obviously winning it tonight, I think going into the playoffs on the back of a good game, on the back of them being in form, matters to a lot of individual players. They don't want to be, they don't really want to be going into their first game in the playoff off the back of last week's result, do they?
No.
They want to be going in, having a lot of ball in hand. So I think there's probably some of that going on as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's interesting as well, gents, right, is the fact that at the start of this season, would anybody have seen Reece Martin ahead of Kalepi Tanginoa, the way Tanginoa was playing? That's a real surprise. Not a surprise, Martin's earned it, but at the start of the season, I felt that Martin was going to really struggle to get back in, especially with Morg doing the kicking. But for him to be in that team ahead of Tanginoa, that's it's going to be game on for second row, isn't it? As they go through the play.
I would hazard a guess there that Tanginoa maybe has a niggle.
I was thinking
maybe,
because at the very least you'd have expected him on the bench. I think he'd be stupid if he has got a niggle to risk him in this one when you've got more than capable players like Martin there to cover it. So yeah.
Well, obviously, I'll be watching that one. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the phone-in is this evening. The phone-in is this evening, 10:15 p.m. this evening. We will be talking all things Thursday night. Of course, if you want to give a tribute, if it does happen that KR win, come and pay tribute to the new League Leaders Shield winners, you Robins fans out there. And of course, there's another game tonight, which is FC against Catalans. So do join us for that full-time phone-in. Right, guys, here we go. These were the squads for the second game this evening. I take it all of us are going to go KR. We'll just move on. Now, for whatever reason, they don't make it easy, FC, in terms of how they announce the squads. So I'll walk you through the starting lineup for Hull FC. That has been announced. Logan Moy is again at fullback. On the wings, Harvey Barron, Lewis Martin. In the centres, Tom Briscoe and Davy Litton. In the halves, Callum Kemp and Aidan Caesar. So Callum staying in the squad. He's playing well, the young lad, to be fair. Front row, Yusuf Aydin and Liam Watts, with Amir Burra at hooker. Zach Hardacre and Jordan Lane are going to be in the second row, with Brad Fash, the mullet to be feared, at loose forward. On the bench is Cade Cuss, Will Gardner, Denis Ballanforth, Matty Laidlow, with Hugo Salabio on the 18th man. Not the strongest lineup that we've ever seen for FC. Albeit, I think dream team Zach Hardacre in second row, and I'm not saying he deserves that, but they always throw one in. They do. Do not be surprised on Sunday night when we do the final whistle. You'll be able to listen to that on the way into work on Monday morning. I would not be surprised if Zach Hardacre doesn't get a second row spot in the dream team based on what they produced as a shortlist this week. And if that is the case, that is the Matty Lees stroke Callum Watkins from the year before, curveball from the Rugby Football League that will just be wobble time. As good as Zach has been, and he has been, he's played here, there and everywhere. And on that basis, for me personally, there's better second rowers in the comp. Greg, if you saw Hardacre in the dream team, what would you think of that?
Yeah, I can see why he might be in there, and it's sort of what you're saying there. He might be put in there in second row because he has played so well in so many different players. So not that he's in there as a second row, more as a nod to his contribution to the whole team this season. I think that would be his reasoning for being in there, because like you say, I think there's better second rowers, but he's definitely been committed to the cause this year, which at the beginning of the season, with some of the signings and the age of some of the signings, I think there was people questioning, just how committed they all would be to the cause, and he's definitely been leading it.
Steph, he's been exceptional. I'm not saying for 1 minute. I'm not dissing Hardacre's performances. I'm not. I'm just saying that if they were to put him in the dream team, something's not quite right.
Yeah, well, I think for me, his versatility has been his issue in terms of dream team selection. He's a utility player at FC, isn't he? He's played in the halves, he's played centre, he's played fullback, he's played second row. So that's for me why you can't really put him in the dream team. I think dream team you need to excel in that position all year, and through no fault of his own. Like you say, he's been excellent. He's been a great asset for FC this year. But that's why I would have an issue if they put him in at second row, for example.
Yeah.
Same reason you won't put him in as fullback.
Yeah, I agree. This is the Catalan side, and I have to say, they've done it, and I can't believe they've done it. They've put Ben Garcia in as a prop and brought Ollie back. How they can move Garcia from 13 for this game, the way he's played the last few weeks at 13. Greg, talk about a square peg in a round hole. Why would you move somebody like Garcia, who is a 13 and has been exceptional the last few weeks for Catalan, incredible last week against the Leeds Rhinos? Why would you make that switch?
I think it's just to fit everyone in, isn't it, with Partington? But like you, I mean, they obviously did a hell of a performance last week, and I think in many ways, I know people had a bit of a downer on Leeds, but I think that Catalan defence is probably what you'd expect from those players. Looking at the names on that team sheet, they just haven't always turned up. Well, they haven't turned up most weeks, have they? But I think it'll be an interesting game tonight, Dave.
Tonight, yes.
I think it will be.
I think it'd be a better game to watch than the Warrington one. I mean, I'm watching the Warrington one for obvious reasons. I think it should be a better game to watch as a spectacle. I know which one I'd be watching if Warrington weren't playing. That's for certain. But the other thing about this squad here, Steph, right? One of the things we've said about Tavita Pangai Jr. is, right, his fitness levels. Why would you play him second row? So I'm looking at that there, and tell me if I'm wrong, Steph, right? I'm thinking Tavita Pangai Jr. to the bench. We're starting Julien Busquet where Benjamin Garcia is. I put Oliver Partington where Pangai Jr. is, and I'd leave Ben where he is at loose forward. That's what I'd be doing.
I can't disagree.
That would look a better side on paper, wouldn't it?
Well, I think that's the biggest second rower I've ever seen. and also, where's he going to be defending? Because if I'm FC and I'm Caesar, I think I'd be targeting him as third edging defender.
And how many minutes is he going to do as well, Steph?
Well, exactly. That's worse than playing Garcia at prop. Even I'd have had Partington in at second row potentially. Yeah. Because he, at least in that, like say, third edge defender, he's going to do a job there and stop FC's attack. It's an interesting one. But I suppose from a Joel Tompkins point of view, it doesn't matter. All he's interested in is the individual efforts of the team, because the whole team performance tonight doesn't really matter for much. I think it's just about who's going to put themselves forward and really want to put a marker down for next season.
Here's one for you, Greg. Let's do a bit of conspiracy theory here. Is Joel Tompkins supplying a starting 17 sheet into the FC dressing room that is not as described? Are we seeing a Tavita Pangai really is going to start as prop, and Ben Garcia maybe second row? Is he lulling them into a, because as Steph rightly says there, if you see that team sheet and you believe that is the one that you're coming up against in the changing room, you're drilling your team now to go, right, exactly what Steph said. We're going to target Pangai Jr. And it almost disrupts all the pre-preparation because that might not have been the plan. So what you're doing in the changing room, you say, right, we've got an opportunity there on that edge. We're going to attack Pangai Jr. And then when they set up, it ain't Pangai Jr. And then the team is going, right, we've got two messages, the one we've been doing all week and the one we've just had in the changing room. Is it a stroke of genius from Joel Tompkins?
I've often wondered about this throughout ages, that you could just put whatever names you want anywhere, really, couldn't you? And people have obviously, they've been prepping for being a prop, won't they? So, well, we shall see. I don't believe in conspiracy theories like that.
Come again next week, Greg. But what I would say, but Steph, if you saw that team sheet and you genuinely believe Tavita Pangai Jr.'s in the second row, mate, you're getting into your lads now saying that's an opportunity knocks there, lads. We're going down there, aren't we?
Yeah, but I think Cartwright is not stupid, and he'll have seen throughout his coaching career plenty of things like that, and. It's you're right. I think he will say. For me, I would be saying if he does go there, then obviously we go for it. But if not, we just go back to Plan A. Sorry. So I don't think it's going to cause too. And it's not going to make that much difference. It'd be for Joel to do that if he thinks that's going to get him a leg up in the game. It just isn't. So.
Fair enough. Well, we'll leave that one there. Let's give a couple of shout outs. Jordan Lane, 150 Super League appearance. Of course, Jordan off to Castleford Tigers next season. So this, of course, is his final, potentially, of course, we don't know for certain. They have to win first, but potentially his last game of the season for Hull FC, and it'll be his 150th. So if they do get a win, it's a nice way for him to sign off. And Tommy Makinson, if he gets a try this evening, he will stand alone in 4th place in the all-time try-scoring charts. He will go above Keith Senior and Paul Wellens that he's currently level with on 199. A little bit of detail there for you boys. I know you like a bit of detail. And actually, he'll be doing it on his 200th Super League appearance. So Tommy Makinson tonight, if he gets a try, not only does he go standalone 4th, he's made his 200th appearance as well. Greg, another brilliant milestone for the great Tommy Makinson.
Yeah, and he moves above a couple of legends there. And quite interesting, because when you said their names, you sort of hold them up as, perhaps I hold them up in perhaps it's just reflecting back, but I probably hold them in higher esteem than Tommy, who's still got a bit to go. So credit to him for being in that. Well, he'll be in the head of that company. That's really impressive, isn't it?
Very impressive indeed. Right, let's get into a little bit of detail before we move on to the Friday night games. And in terms of the head-to-heads between these two, as you can see there, boys, 22 apiece. Can you believe that? Ooh. 22 apiece between these. Very, very competitive indeed. They've also had 2 draws. So it couldn't be any closer, really, in that respect. Unbelievable. To suggest 22 games apiece, outstanding. 3-2 the last 5 meetings in the favour of the Dragons, and the Dragons come in off the back of 2 wins, which they haven't done often this season. The Dragons will fancy this. The question is, can they travel well a second week when they have 2 games on English soil, and especially when they do the travel as well? It does affect the prep. Steve McNamara told us that when we did the in convo with Steve. I think a lot about the competitiveness of the game will be squarely on the shoulders of the Catalan Dragons. Would you agree, Greg?
I absolutely would, Dave. And if I had to go for the cowbell upset of the round, I would be going Catalan. That
could be a new feature next year. And now to Greg Roach for the cowbell upset of the round.
I thought you'd like that, David.
Mate, that's comedy. I don't know where Steph's camera's gone. It's just cropped up for our Steph. He'll be back in a minute. Mate, that is comedy gold. Comedy gold.
Who do you think?
He's back. Did you see the comedy there, Steph? Did you see that?
I heard it. I was just helping my daughter for 1 second. So
it was absolutely outstanding. So Greg has done the cowbell upset of the round.
I can hit it again if you want. Just
do it again for him.
Cowbell upset of the round. Catalan 1-8.
Outstanding. Love it. Absolutely love it. So there you go. FC, they have to win. If they don't win, Wakefield Trinity are 6th without having to throw a ball. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the phone in tonight at 10:15. Will Wakefield Trinity fans be dialing in? Because it could be, if Greg is right, and this is the upset of the round, that FC's season is over, and without throwing a ball in anger, Wakefield Trinity are in the playoffs. So the Wakey fans as well, celebration time for you could be at 10:15 tonight. Come and join us for the only Super League phone-in at full time. We would love your company. Right, let's move on to the Friday fixtures, boys. Starting with this one, of course, the Saints taking on the Castleford Tigers, who have already got one foot on the plane. 55-11 in Super League history between these two sides. 4-1 the last 5 meetings between these two sides. The only thing is, of course, Saints come into this game in a real poor run of form in terms of results, but this is Castleford. That said, let's just jump straight to it. Steph, look at the team, look at the squad that Saints have put in. So, Wellesby, as you'd expect. I mean, Bennison's back, Felt's there. But when you start to get down, no Alex Walmsley, not there. Daz Clark, not there. Matty, of course, the guaranteed 5th. Matty Lees, not there. Curtis Simonen, not there. So you actually look at their squad. There's no doubt there's going to be a couple of the young lads getting a game in this one. And potentially Shane Wright making a debut for the Saints, potentially. Based on that, and based on what we saw Castleford do to Wakefield, could Castleford sign off with a win, Steph, with the team, the squad you're looking at there?
They definitely could. It just depends on, there's a lot of names there that I've not even heard of. Obviously, not being a St Helens fan, and I'm sure Greg's probably the same. Not to speak for Greg, yeah, absolutely, that'll be a big bonus for Castleford fans going to the game. What won't be is if that Saints side overturns them, because the numbers that he's got in there, it is going to have to be a pretty young-looking Saints side, isn't it? It's not not like KR where they've gone, their 21-man squad. They've pretty much selected their first team. Saints can't do that by the looks of it. So, but you can understand it from Wellens. What it does do is it gives him if they do lose, we'll put the kids in kind of excuse. So that probably takes the heat off him in that respect if they did lose the game. But what a fantastic opportunity for those young lads, to go up against. And this is the type of game where you do want to give those lads a chance in. And I'm sure those lads will wear that Saints shirt with pride and throw everything into the game, which, the Saints fans will enjoy that, I'm sure, seeing their future against this Castleford side.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that team. For me, Greg, we might see a bit of Noah Stevens. And I've been crying out to see Noah Stevens, and I think the Saints fans were as well earlier in the campaign when Parsi weren't pulling up many trees. So we might get to see a bit of Noah. And, it's an opportunity for Noah to try and stake a claim for playoff rugby league, because if Noah comes on and fulfills what everybody believes this kid can do, it could be that he puts a bit of extra pressure on Wellens in terms, because the fans love him. The fans really love Stevens. So if he comes on and he plays well in this game, that could put a bit of more pressure on Wellens, would you say?
Yeah, I'm sure he's gone for that squad because he's going to end up 5th, so he can give people a rest. But yeah, I thought when Noah sort of started appearing in Super League, he was one of those that you just thought, not just for his age, if you just forget about his age, but he's a natural, isn't he? He's got the right body shape, he's got good leg speed in the tackle, and you think he's got a bright future ahead of him. And I think coming into this season, as a complete observer of Saints, I'd have probably expected him to have played more than he has played. A, because of his talent, and B, for his development. I'm a bit surprised this year. I don't know if there's what's going on behind the scenes or anything, but I'm a bit surprised he hasn't played more yet. But he's going to be a good one for the future, and it's a good one now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, looking down the Saints list there, these lads that potentially are coming in, I think for me, as I look at that, it's unlikely that we're going to see a couple of these players. Well, I think Will Roberts has got a chance. I think he's got a chance of being in. Will Roberts, he's saying that. No, Whitby would be before him. I think Cole Marsh is one that might get his debut because he's a hooker by trade. So I think Cole Marsh could be the foil, maybe, potentially. We could see him. Will he put Moses Mbai back into hooker, bring in Whitby? Cole Marsh as a deputy for him as a hooker. That could happen. Will Roberts is a halfback by trade. So I don't see Will making the grade. But of course, Jake Burns is there, isn't he? So Jake's also in the mix. But Cole Marsh has got a shot. Cole Marsh has got a shot. And the other two lads, Cowan, I think he's a back row. I think he's a back rower, I think. And Jake Davis, I think he plays back row. So, yeah, I'm trying to make Edna Saylor this team, if I'm being honest. I think he's going to leave Saylor at fullback. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Cross and Felt will still be on the wings, albeit Felt should be dropped, for me personally, based on his antics.
He was dropped, wasn't he?
Well, should be. Obviously, when you look at the squad, there's no Robertson. So I think there's no doubt that they're saying that Dion. I think Benison might play his last game for Saints. I think he might play Cross in the centres, bring Benison back on the wing, and let Benison have his last hurrah. Because again, they're finishing fifth; it doesn't matter. And I think that'd be a nice touch, wouldn't it, lads? Yeah. To give Benison a swan song.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard Wellers was going to drop Felt, but he said to him, "Not by the hairs of my chinny chin chin."
Good man. Love it. It's going to be interesting. But hey, again, good luck to any of those lads, especially I'm pretty confident Cole Marsh hasn't played. I'm pretty certain. I'm not sure if Cowan and Dav, I think that those three might actually be on debut if they were to get a game. And if they do, as you said, Steph, academy products come through the system, good luck to them if they get an opportunity to get on the field and play. And of course, there'll be a lot of those Castleford players as well that'll be signing off as well. Is this an opportunity for Jensen Winley to have a game? We keep calling out for Jensen to get a game, or is he just going to leave Atkin in the halves and young Jensen's going to miss out again?
I think they'll put him in. I think Chester's a bit of a fan of him. I think he sees a player there. And again, for Castleford, this is just about pride, isn't it? A few players there quite a lot of players that are going to be leaving. This will be the final game in a cash shirt. I think this is the one where anything could happen, couldn't it, in terms of team selection, because both playing for nothing really, so it doesn't really matter. Who knows?
Do you know what, Greg? Just going back to the Hardacre thing, and if people are thinking, where am I getting this Hardacre thing from? For those who haven't seen it, if you go onto the official Super League page, they're allowing you to pick your own dream team, but there's only X amount of players that you can pick from. So for me, that's got to mean that's the shortlist for the dream team. It'd be very odd if it wasn't. And I'll tell you who's unlucky. I'll tell you who's really unlucky. If you're going to put Hardacre in, who's moved around, one player who hasn't moved around all season and has arguably had his best season, and people might say, give your head a wobble, Dave. But if you're going to put Hardacre in at second row, where's George Lawler?
Oh, Lawler, yeah.
Where's George Lawler? Because George Lawler's had a phenomenal season in second row for Casper for most of the season, as has Alex Mellor.
Yeah,
so there's two names.
Yeah.
Well, I think as you and Steph said, it's because of his versatility, isn't it? That's Hardacre's, in there, and he's a name as well, isn't he?
But it's such a shame when players have played in a position for most of the season, and we've always said this is the problem with the likes of Stefan Ratchford's over the years. The versatility has cost them in terms of dream team appearances. I don't believe if Hardacre's been moved around. Unfortunately, sorry Zach, but you can't be in a dream team. You'd be on the bench if there was a bench because of your versatility, but they don't do a bench. So this is the 1 to 13 best in their position this season.
I think the clue's in the name. It's your dream team, isn't it? It's not a versatility one because someone's injured. It is your dream team, isn't it?
I think they should. It's a good idea, though, isn't it? I think they should do a 1 to 17 dream team, because that would, plus 8 some people in terms of ones that just, you could have 3 outstanding players, couldn't you, in second row, and one misses out who should definitely be in the dream team. That'd be a way of getting them in. And it's a 1 to 17 sport.
Yeah. And it really is, isn't it? If you think about it, it's not 13, is it? And to give another 4 people an accolade that is cherished.
But we won't be announcing our dream team this week. I want to get into the detail. We'll be announcing ours a week later because I really want to deep dive. What we will be doing, though, because of course the scoring element will be done, we will probably be announcing our September team of the month. And we will also be announcing the winner of the Super League Raw trophy, because that will be done and dusted after round number 27. So those 2 things will happen. But going back to this argument over, should there be the 17 lads? Maybe if they were picking a 17, the top meter maker, second highest tackle buster, front rower, the man who's played every game this season for Saints, Alex Walmsley, get a look in, as opposed to Matty Lees.
Yeah, maybe.
Who's again found himself in the shortlist. Not even been the best prop forward for his club, let alone in the league. And he's in the shortlist. And that's no disrespect to Matty Lees. Good defender, good pro. Well. Yeah, good pro, but Alex has been better. Anyway, I'm not filthy about it.
I guess those were all rhetorical questions you're asking.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with a little bit of that. I don't know. That's been and gone, so that can go. Right, let's just get rid of that. Where's that? Let's just get rid of that. We don't need that. Dear God, what's going on here? Let's go for there. It is. Let's get rid of that. Right. Okay. Look, bottom line is, if FC win tonight, then Wakey have to beat Salford. Now that isn't necessarily a gimme either. I think, not wishing to speak for Darryl Powell, but I think he probably quite like Catalans to turn FC over tonight, just to make this a little bit easier for him. But look, again, form, all the rest of it goes the way of Wakey Trin. We know that. And Greg, we speak a lot in terms of me, Steph, and the lads. Would you share our sentiment that it would be a tragedy if Wakefield didn't get top 6 based on their impact in Super League this year?
Oh, absolutely. And as I said earlier, I think they've probably been my favourite team, ball in hand. I think the style of Darryl Powell rugby, of offloads and support, is just wonderful to watch as a neutral. What's probably dawned on me, just as you were saying about the games being on different days, I'm not sure if I like that, where there's an implication, whether they should all be played at the same time, whether that's not right for Sky or for viewing, but dependent on the result on Thursday night could mean different teams are picked for Friday night, couldn't it? Which just doesn't quite seem...
No.
Really.
It doesn't affect FC, though, does it, Greg? Either way.
Well... No,
it benefits Wakefield, but does it really?
But you say that though, Steph. It's like everything, isn't it? It brings it into the grounds because, for example, if Wakey and if this game and the FC game were being played concurrently, and FC got off to a blinding start and were 2 tries up, that would find its way to the SCS. And all of a sudden, the crowd start getting a bit agitated, and it could feed onto the field.
And it'd be great TV viewing, wouldn't it?
Great TV
viewing. Table stands, even if it's only after 10 minutes, once Salford were winning after 10 minutes, they've done that the last few
I like it. I think of all the games, this perhaps is the one that should have been played at the same time as Hull FC. I think the others, because of the way KR looks pretty much done and dusted. We know Wigan are already second. There is that argument over Leeds and over Leigh, but similarly. But yeah, it's an odd one. It's an odd one, no doubt about it. But yeah, it's not happening for whatever reason. There you go, 3-2. But look, the last time these met, round 12 this year, 72-10 Wakefield.
Ooh. Is that the most scored against them this year, do we think?
I think it was certainly up there. But however, it was a different looking Salford because Salford have got some genuine quality players. Nene McDonald back, Joe Mellor's there, Logan Lewis, Easton Masters is back, Sangari's been playing reasonably well. Chan's not let him down. Murphy's back in there. Jack Derbyshire's been doing well at centre. Ron Milnes still got a point to prove. Jack Walker's still there. So, they've got a bit of talent and they've been playing reasonably well. I mean, again, they push your boys every step of the way, Greg, at the weekend.
Oh, they really did for 70 minutes as well, and the score last week definitely flattered the Giants. And yeah, I think this is why, and I see Ben in the comments has made the same point, or a really good point. If it was KR and Wigan playing tonight, that'd be quite interesting. And then tomorrow, if it was FC Wakey, I think again that would be quite. That would be quite interesting. I think again, and this is the problem, well, not the problem. This is what I feel about Salford, that the week's just dominated by off-field stories, isn't it? In terms of, them not applying for Super League, and there seems to be something else going on with the Rouge Diablo that's been announced. But I just think, and it was great to hang around with Matt Timms and Mark last week, but particularly in terms of watching the game, that Super League will be worse off not having a Salford team in it. And I think that's going to be the first time they haven't been in the top flight in about 16 years. And, this club was fourth last year, and it just makes you realise, how lucky some of us are who have benefactors, and it's just the demise has just been really, really cruel. But that's a good set of players. I tell you, who was really good last week, Nanny McDonald, and he I think he was. He ended up playing like second row prop, and he was offloading it all over the place. And he's a big guy as well. I mean, I'm not sure where he's going to be playing his rugby next year, but he still was a hell of a player last week.
Well, he'll be picked up. I mean, whether it's over in this country, I mean, the fact that he's come back suggests to me he might be looking for another contract in Super League. Oh, so he'll certainly pick a club up, no doubt about that. Right. I mean, you look at the Wakey squad, it is pretty much where you think it should be. Nothing really glaringly obvious hitting me between the eyes where they're concerned going into this game. They all look pretty much there, the ones that we've been seeing of late. Tom Johnstone, the same Tom Johnstone who has scored 9 Super League tries this season, who finds himself in the shortlist for the dream team. No Harvey Barron. Not even in the top 20 try scorers. And then people say, yeah, but it's not all about try scoring as a winger. I agree with you. Hasn't got better stats than Harvey Barron across the board. Jake Fulis, Josh Fulis are even better than his output this season. And you just start scratching your head going, how does Tom Johnstone get into a shortlist? No disrespect to Tom, it's not his fault. How does he get into a shortlist for a dream team?
Dave, don't let facts and stats get in the way of a good story.
You know me, mate. You know me. I just believe in fairness. I just believe in fairness. Nothing more. Nothing. I mean, Keenan Brand, Stef. Keenan Brand.
Season. Had a very good season, breakout season for Keenan.
Yeah. It's probably scored more tries than Tom. Anyway, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave that there. And look, Wakey fans, this is nothing against Tom. It's not his fault. But unfortunately, for me personally, there's been better wingers this year. You would argue that the man who's injured on the other side has had a better season than Tom Johnstone, and he's not listed, and that's Lachlan Walmsley.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's had a good season.
Had a great season, mate. Had a great season. No Leyland for Rovers tonight is that's a shocker, Ben, isn't it? I was hoping that we get to see a bit more of Leyland, but there you go. Anyway, there you are. Wakey against Salford. Interesting. Will Wakey have to earn it, or will the Wakey fans be on the phone in tonight at 10:15 with a bottle of vino, champers, prosecco, whatever it is, toasting Darryl Powell, saying what a great coach he is, and basking in the glory of a phenomenal season that means playoff rugby league in their first attempt, as opposed to the man that was Richard Dawson, who said the wheels have fell off, they were overachieving, and they were a small club with no ambition, and that Darryl Powell was a salt. Hello to you, Richard. We hope you are well. Anyway, there you go. We just thought we'd fire that one back in just for a laugh. Wobbles on a captain's run. What's going on? That's his hat trick. That's it. I'm leaving it there now. Leaving it there. Just leaving it there. Right, let's go to the game that involves you two. Leigh Leopards taking on the Giants. Normally good games, these boys. Normally good games, these. Both teams It's mad, isn't it? There's certain teams that produce good games when they go up against each other, and Leigh and Huddersfield tend to do that. For those who have got short memories, round 13 this season, Huddersfield 24, Leigh 28. Round 17 last season at the LSV, Leigh 20, Huddersfield 16. Last season, round 12, Huddersfield 10, Leigh 16. So this is where I'm coming from. You know, there's so many games in the recent past where these two sides have really put on a show for the neutral amongst us, as in moi. And it's been very, very enjoyable to watch. On paper, again, we'll get to the squads in a minute. You look at the form, you look at the league positions and all the rest of it, and you look at the fact that Huddersfield made hard work against Salford. No disrespect to Salford. Great last 10 minutes or so, Greg, from your lads last week. And, of course, delighted to see Leroy Cudjoe get that very emotional kick at the end. But as a Giants fan going to the LSV tomorrow night, would you expect them to pull off a shock, or are you expecting a Leigh Leopards triumph?
I'm expecting a Leigh Leopards triumph. I think quite a comfortable one, to be honest. Giants all season have been really inconsistent, and they've tended to be, good one week, bad the next week, or certainly in the sort of the latter third of the season. But Leigh are a superb side, and I think they will be wanting to go into the playoffs with some form behind them. So I think just they'll be too physical and too creative for us. We were lacking creativity last week. We had an awful lot of possession, but we were just lacking creativity. So I think the bookies have actually got your guys, Stef, I think 28-point favourites, which seems a bit too high to me. But I think we'll take a bit of a stuffing. I think, hopefully not, but that's what I think.
Well, hey, stuffings, chickens, turkeys. Anyway, what I would say is, if you're telling me that Leigh Leopards are going to be too physical for you, you know what the Giants have to do, don't you? What the great Olivia Newton-John once said, you're going to have to get physical yourself, mate. Get physical yourself. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. But Stef, great to see Tessie New back. I mean, the amount of people who have picked a Dream Team 13 and have put Wardle in. I've seen Wardle in. I've seen Broadbent in. I've seen Hickle in. Hardly anybody in the fan selections all online have included Tessie New. Has that surprised you? That he's just not even in the discussion in the wider arena that he's Super League fans?
But I didn't know that, and I'm not really bothered. I'm being honest with you. I know how good and important he's been. Arguably, for me, the best import this season of new players that have come in. So again,
hang on. Can I just throw Caius Fire-Tilly in there? It's got to be close.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think those two are probably the ones who've had the biggest impact. I think when you get songs in first season by the fans, that's always a good indicator in that respect. But no, for us, great to have him back. And I think he scored when we played Huddersfield away. I remember him scoring a really nice try in that one. I think the most interesting in terms of stories with this squad is no Darnell McIntosh, who is fit, and he's gone with AJ Towes. I think that sends a very clear message that I don't think Darnell, even though he's contracted at Leigh next season, will be there. Rumours are in his senior swap with Castleford on that one. So whether that adds more fuel to that rumour, I don't know. But I'm surprised he's not in the team. So yeah, but the other one as well is Ethan O'Neill. We've been saying for a few weeks now. He's been named in the squad. I think this is the one where he will actually play. And I think we'll see more of Joe Ofangawe as well this week. We only saw him 15 minutes, I think, last game against St Helens, just to get him back into it. So it's not far off, apart from Medwin Apapi is the biggest miss, obviously, with his ban. But not far off our strongest squad, and good news on the injury front as well. So yeah, really, really positive. But games against Huddersfield, as you alluded to earlier, they're always close games with Leigh and Huddersfield. It's very rarely it turns into a blowout, and there's nothing more dangerous, than a team with nothing to play for. Just for pride, and for Leroy's last game as a Huddersfield Giant, they'll want to put a big performance in. So I'm with Greg. I think that is a very generous handicap by the bookies this week, and we'll come on to that in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, great to have Ethan O'Neill back. And I have to tip me out to Adrian Lamb as well, because he's managed his injury really well. He hasn't rushed him back, which is the right thing to have done. And I have to say, I thought Jack Hughes last week especially deputised really well, actually. He had a great game last week, Jack Hughes. But I think he misses out this week. I'd expect O'Neill back for you. And of course, and I said this as well, again, sorry, no disrespect to Zach Hardacre. He's been fantastic all season, but you're not telling me that he deserves to be in a shortlist for second rowers over Frankie Alton. I'm sorry, but he doesn't. I mean, that's just, again, another nonsense. And this is why I get upset, because for me, players deserve recognition. Yes, Hardacre's been phenomenal. If there's a 17 dream team, he's probably in it on the bench. Get that. But no, I'm sorry. I'm going there again. I'm not filthy.
Dave, just while you take a minute to calm down, to some off the field news, and a thank you to the Super League Raw community and to the wider rugby community. There was a petition that you featured.
Police Council.
Yeah, and it got submitted to the council this week. There was over 4,600 signatures on this petition, which the gist of it means that the council now have to seriously, have to consider the Giants going to what was the gasworks, and they have to formally do that, which they weren't going to do without that petition. So, just a thank you, because I know non-Giants fans signed it as well.
We all signed it, mate. We all signed it. We're rugby league people, and we want the Cowbells to be happy in their own new little purpose-built stadium. Yeah. Because, of course, we've got a vested interest. We come to enjoy your company, sir. There's a lot of people in the chat asking if you're going to be going to the LSV, because there's a lot of members who want to see Greg Roach at the LSV tomorrow night.
I'm afraid I'm shamefully not going tomorrow. I've got something else on tomorrow. But do you know what? If you do come next year, the Giants have put out their tickets today, their ticket prices, and there's an open letter from Ken Davies saying about the future. And it goes into that debate about how to get more people to turn up. So for me, and this might surprise you, Dave, but I'm in the over 30s category. Yeah. It's £199 for the 13 games, 199.
Great value.
Where we sit, that's about £15. And for the 18 to 30s, from the 18 to 30s, of which, Anton and Allegra are both in that category, £110. That's £8.50 a game for the 18 to 30s.
Too cheap.
That's great value.
Too cheap. I know what Steph's thinking. I agree with him. It's too cheap. In a club that, how many of those fans would pay more? It's too cheap. But yeah, I get it's one of them. It's a massive conundrum for the Giants. But anyway, great that you've given that. But everybody's wondering the same thing. Yeah. If you look at Huddersfield's team sheet in the same spirit that you asked me a question about our young players, everybody is wondering, Lewis, what's his moves like?
He will be making his debut. That came out of the press conference. I'm just going to ignore your move like joke. He's going to be playing. Robbo said.
What's his position? Where does he play?
He's sort of like a back row forward. He's young though. He is young, but he did say he was going to give him his debut. I guess he'll sink or swim. And I think that could be the 7th or 8th debut that we've given this, this season. And he's been signed up to the squad, next year, along with 3 others. There's got quite a good little crop coming through. So we will see how the squad looks next year.
We will. And all I would say to whoever's commentating that game, if I was commentating that game and Lewis put a bit of a move on, I'd probably go, ooh. Anyway, that's another story. Good old Louis. Lewis, good luck, my friend.
If his nickname is not Mick, I'll be very disappointed.
Hey, you might tell him, Mick. There's another one. Jagger taking the Mick. What a great mate, tell you. Hey, commentary of the finest order if we were doing it. We'd be having a right good giggle. And we wouldn't be giving our heads a wobble. We'd be happy days. Anyway, look, I've got to do this. When Greg said he'd come on, got to do this, right? So apologies. Money well spent. This is unbelievable. So the amount of cap that Huddersfield gave to Tom Burgess, look at them stats. Burgess has played 8 games more. He scored 4 less tries. He hasn't done as many tackle busts as Joffa. He's not made as many breaks as Joffa. He's not made as many tackles on a pound-for-pound basis, and Joffa's efficiency is better. Joffa's made virtually the same amount of carries on 8 games less, and has made virtually the same amount of meters on 8 games left. So when you look at that, Greg, the Giants made a big error here, didn't they, last year?
He's not had a good season, has he? He's not had the impact that we all hoped and we all thought he would have. Someone made the point to me that if you look at the games he has played nearly all our games, which for a Giants player has been unusual this season. You can't say that about our 6, 7, and 1, who have all been out for large periods.
It's because he only does 15 minutes a week.
I think we're all expecting a bigger impact off him, and we've got him signed for another 2 years as well. So I guess we'll have to see where this goes next season.
Well, we'll put the same graphic up next season, but if that's what you want. But me, Steph, I always try and do something for a captain's run. That great if you're a Leaf fan looking at Joffa's stats there, but when you compare Joffa's name wasn't a name. Let's be honest, he was not a name in British Super League before Leigh picked him up. Everybody knew who Tom Burgess was. So any neutral out there who is high level neutral, doesn't get into the detail, they would have been forgiven to think that graphic goes up and Tom Burgess shows Joffa up.
Yeah,
those numbers it's a reflection on how well Joffa's played when he's played, but it's also a massive reflection on the Tom Burgess gamble to this point hasn't paid off for the Giants.
But I would just in to make a case for the defence in Tom. He has played in a team that's struggled massively with injuries, and if he was in the Leigh team, for example, I think he may have slightly better stats this year. That being said, Joffa has been outstanding, and when we talk about mid-season signings, he would be again right up there with one of the impact he's had at Leeds. But I think the big thing with Joffa is he's come with the right attitude. He's fit into the team brilliantly. Everyone loves him at the club because of what he's done on the field, but also off it as well. And you hear the lads talking about him all the time. He walks around with a bag for life. And, that's his thing. I don't know why he does it, but he does. I think his legendary statements after the game when we win to say he's going for a Chinese and Bosch. That's his thing. So he is a character, but he's fitted in brilliantly at Leigh, and he's his stats are incredible for someone. When we normally say someone coming over from the NRL takes 10, 12 weeks before they start hitting the strides. He started in that. I think Magic was his debut against Catalan, and he was fantastic in that game, and he's kicked on since.
Yeah.
So answer the question then, boys. Greg, start with you. Money well spent based on what we're seeing there.
I think you described as a gamble, and as we know, when it comes to betting, you win some and you lose some when you gamble.
I will take that as a no. Money well spent, Steph?
Not for me, and I think I did call it at the time to say that I really don't like bringing aging prop forwards over. I think when for the money as well, because he must be on very serious money, and when you look at your Fertillis, your Tom Moans, and I know they're you're picking the really good ones that have come over, but they would have come over on probably a third of what Tom's on, and I think if you're going to have a gamble, the better gamble would be to go with a Tom Moan type player than it would be an aging NRL prop.
Well, all I would say is this will tell you how much money he's on. Warrington let it go. I mean, we all know Warrington play big money, and even Warrington went, yeah, crack on, son, go and take what they're offering you. So I think it's north of 200k, which is just like anyway. But anyway, there you go. Should be a good game. I think it'll be a good game. I really do. Good evening to Debbie Hasty as well. Seen her in the chat, and Carl Shaw, Heather Bailey with us as well, and Carrie. Great to have your company. Right, last game of the weekend, of course, is this one. Wigan Warriors taking on. Actually, before we do that, I always forget. Shout out to Ash Goulding. He plays 200 for his career. Joe Greenwood, who I think has been exceptional as well for the Giants this year. He's going to be 200 in Super League as well. So a couple of milestones there at the LSP for Giants players. And of course, the great Leroy Cudjoe bows out of Super League. We wish him well. There will not be a dry eye in the house if you're a Cowbell Army fan on Friday night. Right. Wigan again. And again, this is an interesting one because I'm amazed at how strong the Wigan squad actually is. Do I expect Harvey Hill to play? Yeah, I do. Do I expect Jack Farriman to maybe play again and Harry Smith? That's a big question. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's a very, very strong Wigan Warriors side, considering they've got second sewn up, lads. I was expecting a couple more fringe type players in there, like Douglas, for example.
Yeah, I suppose they've got next week off, haven't they? That would just be the thing, so they can have that extra. They can have the rest of the bumps and bruises. But I think it's like we said before. It's professional sport. You go out to win.
Yeah, you do. Liam Marshall there at number 5. If he gets a try, he's the last 4 meetings were Leeds. Liam Marshall, Steph. Just saying. Liam Marshall.
Form as well, isn't he, Marshall? So
he's in form, mate. He's in form. And do you know what? Let's not forget Leeds, round 5, beat Wigan 12-10. Of course, the big omission is no Jake Connor. Of course, we can see that. And yes, Miller. Exactly. That's exactly where I was going, Mr. Sale. Massive gaping gap. So I'm expecting, based on the 2 best forward players that Leeds have had all season not in this squad, I can't see any win here for Leeds. Can anybody see Leeds beating Wigan on Friday?
Yeah, I did. And the other one's no Ash Hanley again. Yeah. So that that's 3 of their main strike players not playing. If Brodie Croft plays like he did against Catalan, that's basically 4 not playing. So I'm sure he'll have a much better game, Brodie, and prove everyone I'm wrong in this one. But yeah, it's with the strength of that Wigan squad, because like we say, the interesting one for me is Farriman, because I don't think you can drop Farriman after the way he played last week. So I don't know why he came in. Was Smith? Did he have an injury, or was he just dropped? Was it rested?
He didn't really say, did he? He didn't really say.
So that's the really interesting one, because if he does go with Farriman, and Farriman does another really good game,
that's a decision then, isn't it?
There's nothing else after that. You're into semi-final. So I think that's the real interesting story in this game. How well does Farriman? And if he plays like he did last week, he's undroppable.
Yeah, well, I said, didn't I, I can't remember what show we were doing. Was it weekly, where I said at what point does Harry Smith really have to look over his shoulder? I don't think it's yet. I think we all agreed that if you were playing a final tomorrow, you go with Smith in the here and now. But is 2026 that seat? And again, we're all thinking that Farriman might be lured away, but is 2026 the year of Farriman? Is it the year where
he's contracted for another 3 years?
I know, mate. I know, mate. It's this is, of all of the decisions that Matt Peter's got to make in the next 12 months, maybe sooner, this is his biggest.
I think the only thing Wigan can do if they want to retain Farriman is to sign him on a good contract, but loan him out next year on a season-long loan to a Super League club, a la York, if they get in, someone like that. And let him lead a team.
Yeah, Matt Pete was quick. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Miskey Now, of course, media training, he's not going to say Miskey is leaving, but he gave the impression that no decision's been made there, that is not. But he also said that he's had a lot of troubles with his knee, so does he retire? Miskey, I think if Miskey retires, then Miskey retires. If he doesn't, that's going to be interesting to see, because Miskey's under contract. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But I think what we are going to see, again, if you're a Leeds right, I think it looks to me like Leeds have accepted their fate, that they're going to get a home semi against Saints, and they're happy with that. And it's an opportunity for some of these young lads. We've seen a bit of McCormack, we've seen a bit of Simpson, Presley Cassell, who I expect Presley Cassell to play the reserves. I do. So I think a couple of these might get in, might not get in. I think certainly in the centre spots, Simpson probably plays. I think McCormack plays reserve. So I think Max Simpson again will play in the centres. I'd expect Riley Lum to come back for this, because of course there's no Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall, 10-try Ryan Hall, who's been shortlisted for. I'm not going there again. But yeah. So I think we might see a couple of little changes, but I don't think we're going to see Presley Cassell. I think he'll be playing reserve rugby league. Well, let's just finish this off.
Sorry, just on the Farriman one. Do you think you might, with the team that Leeds have got out, do you think you might put Farriman on the bench and give him half a game each, maybe, or something like that? And
for me, I mean, I think the thing for me, if you're Matt, I mean, look, Harry Smith, been there, done it, got the t-shirt. And at his stage of his career, with his experience, you can probably afford not to play Harry Smith and still expect him to turn up in a playoff game. I think for me, if I'm Matt Pete, I want to see
4 weeks. That though, 4 weeks without a game.
Well, it is. But again, going to your point, we don't know if Smith is actually harbouring an injury, and it could be. And if he is, or he's 50%, 60%, 70%, one, do you risk him? Two, he could break down in the playoffs if there is something going on behind the scenes. So again, to give Farriman another go, just in case there's something going on behind the scenes, is going to be interesting. But I'm just with you. I mean, does Farriman deserve to be dropped? No, he doesn't. He was outstanding.
That's a good way of doing it, though. If he starts Farriman and puts Smith on the bench and then brings Smith on for the second half, so at least he's not been dropped. Then he's probably from a motivational point of view, from a coaching point of view, for Jack Farriman, it would be heartbreaking for him to be dropped after performing so well last week. So
absolutely, I'd say the interesting, and the reason I did this graphic, lads, in closing for tonight's captain's run, you will recall when the training squad was announced by Sean Wayne, that I was filthy over it because I questioned Brad O'Neill's inclusion, and at the time Jared O'Connor was head and shoulders statistically. You've got to give O'Neill a bit of credit in terms of what he's done since then, because he's really tightened it. I mean, if you look down here, I mean, it was a million miles in Jared O'Connor's favour, a million miles. Jared does more defending, he does more tackling, but the tackle efficiency is very, he's 95% each.
Yeah.
One more assist, one more try. It's a lot closer than it was. But as I said to Brad O'Neill, of course, the members got that video in full today, and I hope people enjoyed the whole interview that I did with him. But like I said to Brad in that interview, Brad O'Neill is probably, he is tomorrow night going head to head against another player who's in contention. He's going to meet more potentially. Jez Litton, he's going to be on the same pitch potentially as Jez. He could be on the same pitch as Darrell Clark. So there's players in this playoff series that we know Sean Wayne's in the stand, and Brad O'Neill is going to be going up against other potential nines for England. And that's why I think, regardless of the squads we've just seen, this is a cracking little battle on Friday, because both of these two players will want to outshine each other with the Ashes around the corner, won't they, Greg?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, O'Connor's stats are still really good there. I do wonder whether there's a bit of temperament, attitude that perhaps O'Connor, like his similar namesake Jake, which might just work. Well, he's obviously working against Jake on England's selection. And I was thinking, Steph, it would be quite interesting if Jake Connor won the man of the match in the final, in the grand final. That would make Sean Wayne look give him something to think about. But no, I think as we go into the playoffs here, there's going to be all this besides all the team stuff. There's the Ashes seasons coming along, and it's just going to make a good thing better. It's like having a poppadom, isn't it? And you put the mango chutney on, and you can actually put some more on. You can put those pickles on it as well, and you can just pile it on. And it's great, isn't it? The more things like that, the better.
Joffa's salivating. He's watching the captains run. Stefan Joffa's like that. Get me to an Indian. Hey, happy days.
Chinese, Joffa. Chinese.
Chinese. Well, yeah, nothing like a nice bit of Peking duck, is there? But no, like Steph, I call it straight. At the time, I had real reservations over Brad O'Neill being in that party. It's only right and proper that we acknowledge that since that squad was announced, that Brad O'Neill has actually put in a right shift. And of course, he's come back from injury as well. So, he's starting to get a bit of momentum. But I still, personally, it's Jez Litton. I'd still have Jez. I'd still probably have Jared before him. I genuinely would. But he has improved, hasn't he?
He has. And that's the main point in terms of the severity of the injury he had. Was always going to take him a little bit of time to get back into his rhythm and all that kind of thing. And he's really come into his own again. And the Brad O'Neill we saw before that injury. So that's fair play to him. And I won't expect anything less. You don't come through the Wigan system and not be a really good player. And he's proving why he should be in that squad. I'm not saying he should be a starter or even in the 17. I think Jez Litton, for me, is the starting 9, and Jared will be pushing him all the way. But the good thing is we've got 2 good options in Brad and Jared to fight that out. So we'll see well, I know what Sean Wayne will go. He'll go with O'Neill, won't he? Because he's from Wigan. So
yeah, he probably will. But look, we've got to try and find a narrative in that. I think both teams are pretty much happy with where they're at. And I think, for me, when these players, and again, you could argue Junior and Samba, James McDonald, Morgan Gannon, there's there are a couple of little tussles in that game where you're going, they want to get their head above the other, don't they?
And I think the playoffs will give us that. And certainly, like that recency bias, isn't there? If someone stars in a playoff game, that really, you can forget the performance for the first half of the season. They'll be front of mind when it comes to England selection, I think.
Form matters as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Form does matter, mate. Form absolutely matters. Just ask KR fans. They're panicking. And did I mention that there's a phone in tonight at 10:15? You all KR fans, get yourselves on there. Hey, make sure that you bring your brasso. You've got another piece of silverware coming tonight. It'd be great to have as many of you on, basking in the glory of your team. I'm sure you will get the job done this evening. Right, it's time for this.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Stef.
Okay, so this week's 5-team handicap, still no Salford in this one. Don't let us do it yet. So I've gone Hull FC minus 8.5. I think they have to win this game. It's not a massive handicap to overcome for them, this one. But if Catalans turn up like they did against Leeds, then they could struggle. But we'll see. I'm going Hull FC minus 8.5. Warrington plus 34. Again, this could go either way. I think the bookies have got this quite close, but we'll see. I am expecting Warrington to show a bit of heart with the young players this evening, but it could turn into a procession. We'll see on that one. Wigan minus 16.5, given the players that Leeds have got out and the strength of Wigan's side. I think that's a pretty generous handicap from the bookies, so I've gone Wigan minus 16.5. Saints minus 24.5. This was before I've seen their squad. So this one may be a bit closer. I'm a bit dubious on that one now. And I've gone Huddersfield plus 28.5. As I said earlier with Greg, the Leigh Huddersfield games tend to be close. So I'm expecting it to be a bit closer than the 28 that they give Huddersfield there. So that's why I've gone Huddersfield. And the anytime try scorers, I've gone for Harvey Barron, Jez Litton and Big Joffa. So that will return you 19-1 if you go for those 3 scorers.
Wow. Well, of course, Mr. Sale won last week, so I'm not going to take the mick. I'm not going to take the mick because last week he did it. He's my hero last week. My hero came in round 26. Good man, well done. So we will be back. Well, I will be back anyway at 10:15 this evening for the only Super League phone-in. Please do join us for that. Enjoy what is left of round 27, the regular season, and of course we will be discussing on the final whistle this Monday for your track trip into work. We're going to be discussing that dream team selection because it will be announced by the time we sit down for that. But all what's coming your way over the next 7 days is about to come up now. On behalf of Stef, and I, a big thank you to Mr. Roach for giving us his time. It's been a tremendous evening in your company, Mr. Roach.
And thank you for
this.
Thanks for the opportunity, and nothing better than chatting rugby to yourself and Steph for a good hour and a half. Great way to spend an evening. And the good news is that Sky have just been talking nonsense for the first 7 minutes. But if you actually go over to Sky now, they'll probably start to be doing the build-up for the game. So who else is doing this? Who else does this? Super League Raw does this. Enjoy your evening in Rugby League. I'll be back at 10:15. All the best, everyone. Bye for now.